Captain Elias Ward gripped the controls of his small exploration craft, struggling against the violent turbulence of the alien storm outside. Lightning danced across the skies of the uncharted planet, illuminating jagged mountains and rivers that glowed with a strange, green luminescence. The storm was unlike anything Elias had seen in all his years traveling across the stars. Even experienced pilots on Earth rarely faced atmospheric patterns so wild, so unpredictable. Yet here he was, alone, fighting against nature's fury, with his mission to explore this distant world hanging by a thread. His team's transport had been damaged in a skirmish with space pirates just days before. Most of his crew had returned to the nearest human settlement to repair their ship, but Elias had volunteered to scout the surrounding area for resources. It had seemed simple at first: land, gather samples, return. But the storm came out of nowhere, forcing him to make a crash landing in a dense forest illuminated by glowing plants. The craft shook violently as it hit the ground. Elias felt the impact surge through his body, rattling his bones. Sparks flew from the damaged panels and smoke filled the cockpit. He coughed, fighting the irritation in his lungs, and unbuckled himself. "Okay, Ward. Time to move," he muttered. He grabbed his field pack and stepped outside. The alien forest was breathtaking, almost magical, with trees that stretched far into the sky and leaves that pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Small creatures with translucent wings flitted through the air, leaving trails of light. Despite the storm, there was an eerie calm, a sense that this world had its own rhythm, its own life. As he began walking, he noticed movement among the glowing undergrowth. At first, he thought it might be another creature native to the planet, but what he saw froze him in place. A small alien child crouched near a broken branch, shaking, its skin faintly shimmering in the stormlight. The child's eyes were wide, almost too large for its face, glowing softly in colors Elias had never seen before. It seemed terrified, frightened of everything around it, yet drawn to him in some way. Elias instinctively took a cautious step forward. "Hey, it's okay," he said gently. "I'm not going to hurt you." The child flinched but didn't run. Its eyes, wide and luminous, seemed to study him with curiosity mixed with fear. Something about this moment, about the fragility and innocence of the being before him, made Elias's chest tighten. He had faced dangerous creatures before, piloted through asteroid storms and survived pirate attacks, but this felt different. He knelt slowly, keeping his hands visible. "Do you need help?" he asked. The child hesitated, then whispered a sound that resembled a song more than a language. The syllables were musical, rising and falling like wind over the mountains. Elias shook his head gently. "I don't understand. But I can help you." The alien child flinched again as a gust of wind shook the glowing branches. She tried to crawl away but tripped over her small feet and fell into a shallow stream. Elias moved fast, catching her before she was swept away by the rushing water. He held her close, feeling the trembling of her small body. There, you're safe now," he murmured. The child's skin glowed brighter, almost like a heartbeat visible on the surface. She sniffled, brushing wet strands of hair from her face. Elias examined her quickly. There were no obvious injuries, but she was weak and soaked from the rain. "I need to get you somewhere dry," he said. He scanned the area and spotted a cluster of large crystal formations rising from the ground. Their translucent surfaces glowed faintly, forming natural shelters from the storm. Carefully, he carried the child toward the crystals, taking care not to slip on the wet ground. Inside the crystal shelter, the wind was muffled, the rain a distant murmur. Elias set the child down gently. "You can rest here," he said. He rummaged through his pack, finding a thermal blanket and wrapping it around her. The warmth seemed to calm her. Slowly, she peeked out from the blanket, her eyes curious now. "Less fearful. What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated, then whispered a single syllable. "Lyra." Elias nodded. "Lyra. I'm Elias. I'm going to help you." The child's lips curved slightly, a gesture that seemed almost like a smile. It was small, but it was the first sign of trust. For the next hour, Elias tended to Lyra, sharing his emergency rations and using his med kit to clean small cuts she had gotten while running through the forest. As he worked, he marveled at her unique physiology. Her skin shimmered like liquid crystal, and her small hands emitted a faint glow when she touched objects. He had read about alien bioluminescence before, but never seen it up close, and never with someone so fragile and innocent. Despite the storm outside, Elias found a strange sense of peace. Protecting this child was no longer a choice. It felt like destiny. He realized that humanity's strength was not just in technology or strategy, but in compassion, in the courage to care for those who could not protect themselves. As night fell, the storm began to subside. The glowing forest lit up in a soft, ethereal light, and small creatures emerged from the undergrowth. Lyra seemed fascinated, reaching out to touch a butterfly-like being whose wings shimmered with tiny sparks of color. Elias watched her with a sense of wonder. Even in the most alien of worlds, innocence and curiosity thrived. Suddenly, a faint humming sound reached his ears. Elias's instincts immediately went on alert. He scanned the surrounding forest but could see nothing. Then, in the distance, faint lights appeared moving among the trees. They were too organized to be random fireflies. "We're not alone," he whispered. Lyra clung to him instinctively, her small hands gripping his arm. From the shadows emerged figures, humanoid but unlike any species he had encountered. Their skin shimmered in shades of blue and violet, and their eyes glowed like gems. They moved gracefully, silent, yet purposeful. Elias realized they were scouts or guards watching the pair from the darkness. One of the figures stepped forward, raising a hand in a gesture that seemed to ask for calm. Elias didn't lower his guard, but stayed calm. "I'm not a threat," he said. "I'm just helping her." The scout tilted its head, communicating through subtle movements. Elias could not understand the language, but the tone was clear: caution and curiosity. Lyra surprisingly stepped forward. She held out her hand, and the scout paused, looking at her intently. The connection between them was undeniable. Elias watched, fascinated, as the scout finally nodded slightly and turned back toward the forest. More figures emerged from the shadows, observing but not approaching further. The silent communication between Lyra and the scout suggested something important. Elias realized that Lyra's people were nearby. She was not alone in this strange world. Her family, her civilization, must be somewhere hidden. Yet here she was vulnerable and trusting him. That trust was a responsibility he could not ignore. "I don't know who they are," Elias said softly, "but we'll be careful. Together." Lyra pressed closer to him, and he felt a deep sense of duty settle over him. Protecting her was no longer optional. It was essential, not just for her life, but for the possibility of understanding an entire alien world. As he settled in for the night inside the crystal shelter, Elias's mind raced. Who were these beings? What dangers awaited them? And why had Lyra been alone in the forest? He did not know the answers yet, but he knew one thing clearly. He would not let anything harm her. Outside, the storm faded completely, leaving the forest glowing under the twin moons. The night was quiet now, save for the gentle rustling of leaves and the faint bioluminescent glow of the alien flora. Elias glanced down at Lyra, sleeping peacefully under the thermal blanket he had wrapped around her. She looked so small, so fragile, yet somehow filled with a light that no darkness could dim. He thought of his own life on Earth, of missions completed and dangers survived, and realized that this act of protection was perhaps the most human thing he had ever done. He had faced pirates, storms, and countless alien threats, but nothing had felt as vital, as purposeful as this simple duty, to protect the child who had no one else. And in that quiet moment, under alien stars, Elias Ward made a promise to keep her safe no matter what. Little did he know that the events of the next days would challenge him in ways he could never imagine. Not just his courage, but his very understanding of humanity, loyalty, and the bonds that could form between species. The morning light filtered through the crystal canopy, bathing the alien forest in soft, rainbow-like hues. Captain Elias Ward carefully stepped outside the small shelter, Lyra walking closely beside him. She moved with surprising confidence, now, her small glowing hands brushing against the bioluminescent plants which pulsed gently in response. Elias could not help but marvel at the delicate harmony between the child and the strange forest. Lyra's people, he had begun to realize, were not ordinary beings. The scouts he had seen the night before were careful, graceful, and intelligent. Now, walking with Lyra as his guide, Elias felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Protecting her was no longer just about survival. It was about gaining the trust of an entire civilization. As they moved deeper into the forest, Lyra led him to a hidden valley where crystalline structures rose from the ground like natural towers. The buildings shimmered with light, reflecting every color of the rainbow, and strange energy lines ran across the surfaces, pulsing softly like veins. Elias stopped, awestruck. This is incredible, he whispered. Lyra gestured for him to follow. They passed through narrow corridors of crystal, their surfaces cool and smooth beneath his hands. The air hummed with energy, and Elias could feel a subtle vibration beneath his feet, as if the planet itself was alive. Small beings flitted past, observing him silently with curious eyes. Some paused to study him closely, then hurried away, whispering in a language that was musical yet undecipherable to human ears. At last, they arrived at a large chamber, open to the sky through a crystal dome. Standing there was a figure that radiated authority and power. Her skin shimmered with shades of silver and blue, her eyes like molten gold. She wore flowing robes that seemed to ripple with energy, and her presence filled the entire chamber. This was Queen Zephyra, ruler of Lyra's people. Elias straightened instinctively. "Your Majesty," he said, bowing slightly. Lyra clung to his side, glowing softly as if to reinforce the bond between them. Queen Zephyra's gaze shifted to Lyra, then back to Elias. Her expression was unreadable at first. Then she spoke, her voice melodic but firm. "You are the human who aided Lyra in the forest," she said. "Why did you risk yourself for her?" Elias took a deep breath. "Because she was alone and in danger. No one should face that without help. It is what any human would do." His words were simple, but honest. He could see a flicker of surprise in the Queen's eyes. She stepped closer, her golden eyes studying him. "Humans are unpredictable," she said slowly. "Some bring destruction wherever they go. Others show mercy and courage. You fall into the latter category." Lyra tugged gently at Elias's sleeve. He knelt down to her level. "It's okay," he said softly. "We'll be safe here." Lyra nodded, her glowing eyes reflecting trust and relief. The Queen gestured to a series of attendants who began preparing accommodations for Elias and Lyra. Crystal beds, softly glowing blankets, and a space to keep his personal gear were readied within the chamber. Elias noticed that the attendants watched him carefully, as though unsure whether to treat him as a guest, a threat, or something entirely different. Over the next few hours, Queen Zephyra questioned Elias about humanity, about his travels, and about the small world he had come from. He answered honestly, describing Earth, space travel, and the basic principles of human civilization. Some of his stories of exploration, resourcefulness, and survival seemed to impress her, yet there was caution in her demeanor. "You understand," she said finally, "that your presence here is not entirely welcome. Many in my court fear the influence of humans. They see your kind as unpredictable, perhaps even dangerous." Elias nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. I do not intend to cause harm. My only goal is to protect Lyra." The Queen studied him for a long moment, then nodded slightly. "That alone is unusual. Few outsiders would care for one of our young. Most would see her only as a curiosity or a potential advantage. Just then, Lyra ran to Elias, holding out her small hands. "Stay," she whispered in her musical language. Elias smiled, understanding the sentiment. "I promise," he said softly. The day passed in cautious observation. Elias explored the chamber and its surroundings, learning about the alien culture. He noticed that the society was technologically advanced, yet deeply connected to their natural world. Energy flowed through crystal formations and devices, powered by an intricate understanding of their environment. Machines moved gracefully, almost as if alive. He could see why they valued wisdom and harmony above all else. During a brief meal, Elias was served food he had never seen before, luminous fruits that emitted faint warmth, crystalline grains that melted in his mouth, and a drink that shimmered like liquid light. Despite their strangeness, the food was nourishing, and he felt a sense of wonder at how different life could be. Lyra ate beside him, sharing her glowing fruit and occasionally laughing when Elias made a clumsy attempt at using utensils. Later, Queen Zephyra summoned him to a council chamber, a large space filled with other high-ranking members of her civilization. They were tall, elegant, and wary, each one shimmering with the faint glow of their unique energy. Elias recognized immediately that he was being evaluated, tested, and judged by this group. One council member spoke, their voice melodic but sharp. "Why should we trust a human? How do we know he will not exploit our child, our people, our planet?" Elias stood tall, meeting their eyes. "I have no interest in harming you or your people. I protect Lyra because it is the right thing to do. Not for power, not for reward. If that is not enough, I understand your caution, but I will prove my intentions through my actions, not just words." There was silence. Queen Zephyra observed, carefully then nodded. "Very well, you will remain under observation. If you prove yourself, you may stay. If you fail, you will leave. Or worse." Elias bowed slightly, accepting the terms. "Understood, Your Majesty." Over the next several days, he worked alongside Lyra and the people of the court, learning their technologies, customs, and even small ways to communicate through subtle gestures and shared energy. He found that combining human ingenuity with alien knowledge often solved problems more quickly than relying on one species alone. One afternoon, while repairing a damaged energy conduit, Elias discovered a hidden ability in Lyra. When frightened or excited, her glowing hands could manipulate small energy currents, stabilizing machinery or creating small bursts of light. Elias watched in amazement as she stabilized a failing crystal conduit, saving the chamber from a minor overload. "Lyra," he said gently, "you have an incredible gift. You must be careful how you use it." She nodded, understanding the seriousness in his tone. The queen, observing from a distance, raised her brow in approval. Elias realized that his influence on Lyra was not just protective, he was teaching her control, discipline, and the value of responsibility. Yet, not all members of the court were pleased. Some whispered behind his back, questioning why the queen allowed a human to stay, fearing influence over Lyra or over the people. Elias sensed their mistrust and knew it would take more than kindness to earn full acceptance. He would have to demonstrate courage, wisdom, and loyalty in ways that could not be ignored. That night, Elias and Lyra walked along the crystal terraces under the twin moons. The air was cool, and the gentle hum of energy from the crystals filled the silence. Lyra glowed softly in the moonlight, her tiny hand in his. "Lyra," Elias said, "do you remember the storm?" She nodded, her eyes reflecting the light of the moons. "You were so brave then, and now you are learning to control your gift. I'm proud of you." She looked up at him, her glowing eyes conveying gratitude and trust beyond words. Elias realized that their bond was more than guardian and child. It was a bridge between two species, a symbol of hope that understanding and compassion could transcend differences. Protecting her was not just about saving a life, it was about proving that humanity could be a force for good, even in the farthest reaches of space. As they returned to the chamber, Elias felt the weight of the days ahead. Challenges were coming. Political intrigue, potential threats, and the unknown dangers of the universe. But he also felt determination. No matter what, he would not let Lyra face them alone. Together, they could face anything. Queen Zephyra watched silently from her balcony above, studying Elias and Lyra. Something stirred within her, a sense of respect, curiosity, and perhaps even admiration. Humans, she realized, were unpredictable, but sometimes unpredictability could be a force for greatness. The journey of Elias Ward and Lyra had only just begun, but already the bonds of trust and loyalty were forming. And in a world of crystal, forests, and glowing energy, a human and an alien child were proving that courage and compassion could light the darkest paths. The peace of the Crystal Valley was fragile. Captain Elias Ward could feel it in the subtle tension of the air, the careful movements of the alien guards, and the hushed whispers of the council members. Days of cautious observation had earned him respect from some, suspicion from others. Yet the true test of his character had not arrived. Until now. One morning, as Elias trained with Lyra in a quiet courtyard, a loud alarm rang through the crystalline city. The vibration of the sound carried through the ground, sending shivers through the structures. Lyra's eyes widened, and Elias instinctively pulled her close. "What's happening?" he asked, scanning the horizon. Queen Zephyra appeared on a high balcony, her presence commanding attention. "Elias," she called, "a neighboring faction is approaching. They seek our planet's resources, especially our young. We may be facing war." Elias's heart sank. He had faced pirates and hostile creatures, but an organized army of alien invaders was something entirely different. He looked at Lyra, who was trembling despite her glowing skin. He bent down to her level. "Stay close to me," he whispered. "I won't let anything happen to you." The Queen called a council meeting immediately. In the great chamber, the tension was palpable. Holographic projections displayed incoming fleets, their ships shaped like jagged crystals, dark and foreboding, against the planet's sky. The council members argued, strategies clashing in a symphony of alien voices. Elias listened carefully, analyzing their tactics, understanding their technology, and noticing the gaps in their defense. "Captain Ward," Queen Zephyra addressed him, her golden eyes intense. "You are human. Your perspective may be different. What do you suggest?" Elias took a deep breath. "Your ships are strong defensively, but they rely on predictable energy patterns. If we can anticipate their movements and exploit that, we could slow them down long enough to protect the city and evacuate the vulnerable. I can train your defense units in tactics that combine our strengths." A murmur ran through the council. Some doubted him, fearing human arrogance. Others, seeing his calm confidence and understanding of both strategy and human ingenuity, nodded subtly. The Queen, after a moment, spoke. "Very well. You will lead the defense plan alongside our commanders." For the next days, Elias worked tirelessly. He studied alien technology, analyzed the enemy's projected tactics, and devised training exercises for the planet's defense forces. He taught them to combine alien energy manipulation with human combat strategies, showing them how to anticipate movements rather than merely react. It was grueling work, but his determination inspired the troops. Lyra observed him closely, mimicking his movements during exercises. When she became excited, her glowing hands would subtly affect the energy currents in training simulations, stabilizing or enhancing them. Elias marveled at her abilities, realizing that her unique gift could be a crucial advantage in the coming battle. However, not all council members approved. Some whispered that relying on a human was dangerous, that Lyra's attachment to him could cloud judgment. "What if he betrays us?" one murmured. "What if his loyalty is only to himself?" Elias overheard the whispers but did not react. He knew that trust had to be earned through actions, not words, and soon, actions would speak louder than any council debate. The day of the enemy's arrival came without warning. Dark fleets appeared in the sky, massive ships casting shadows over the glowing forests. The alien army mobilized, energy weapons humming, shields activating. Elias stood with the commanders issuing final instructions. "Remember," he said, addressing the troops, "you know your world better than they do. Use your knowledge, your skills, and your courage. Together, we can protect everything we love. I will be with you every step of the way." The first wave of enemy ships descended, firing energy pulses that rocked the crystal towers. Aliens ducked, shields flared, and Elias moved among the ranks, guiding them, adjusting positions, and encouraging them. His strategies began to work, immediately. Enemy attacks were anticipated, blocked, or redirected. His human insight combined with alien technology gave the defenders an edge they had not known before. Amid the chaos, Lyra's power emerged as a beacon of hope. She hovered near Elias, her small hands glowing intensely. With concentration, she manipulated the energy flows around the defensive barriers, strengthening them just when enemy forces struck the hardest. Soldiers around them gasped, amazed at the effectiveness of her abilities. "Lyra, focus!" Elias shouted, shielding her from a stray pulse. "You're incredible. Keep steady." The battle raged for hours. Crystal towers trembled under enemy fire, forests burned in patches, and the alien defenders fought valiantly. Elias moved through the battlefield, a symbol of courage and leadership. He rescued those caught in collapsing structures, repaired, damaged energy conduits, and inspired troops with his unwavering determination. Queen Zephyra watched from her balcony, her golden eyes never leaving Elias. His actions were more than mere strategy. They demonstrated humanity's unique combination of bravery, compassion, and ingenuity. She had doubted him, but now she could see that his presence was invaluable. As night fell, the enemy attempted a final push to breach the city's core. Elias realized the only way to prevent disaster was to take a direct risk. "Lyra, stay close to me," he called. Together they moved to the front lines, coordinating energy barriers and repelling the strongest assault. Lyra's glow intensified, forming protective shields around the soldiers while Elias directed counterattacks with precision. The enemy faltered. Confused by the combined tactics and the unexpected use of Lyra's abilities, their advance slowed. Soldiers regrouped, and with a coordinated strike, they forced the enemy fleet to retreat. Cheers erupted among the defenders. Victory had been achieved, though the city had suffered damage. After the battle, Elias walked through the city with Lyra, checking on the wounded and ensuring repairs began. His presence was no longer questioned. Soldiers and civilians alike approached him with gratitude and respect. Even those council members who had doubted him now nodded in acknowledgement. Queen Zephyra approached, her expression solemn but impressed. "Captain Ward," she said, "you have done what few outsiders could. You have not only protected Lyra but our entire civilization. Your bravery, wisdom, and loyalty are undeniable." Elias bowed slightly. "I only did what anyone would do, to protect someone who cannot protect themselves." The Queen's eyes softened. "Perhaps that is what makes humans remarkable. You are unpredictable yet capable of extraordinary compassion. I am beginning to understand why Lyra trusts you so completely." Lyra ran to Elias, hugging his leg. "Thank you," she said in her musical language. Elias smiled, feeling a warmth that no battle or victory could replace. Yet despite the victory, Elias knew the challenges were not over. The political intrigue within the court, the distrust of some council members, and the potential for future attacks remained. He had proven himself in battle, but he had also entered a world where loyalty, courage, and diplomacy would be tested in ways he had never imagined. That night, Elias and Lyra stood on the crystal terraces looking at the stars. The battle had shown him the strength of the alien people, but also the fragility of peace. He knew that protecting Lyra was no longer just about survival. It was about preparing for the trials ahead, ensuring that she, and the civilization she represented, would endure. "Elias," Lyra said softly, her glowing hands resting on his arm. "I feel safer with you. I'll always protect you," he replied, placing a reassuring hand over hers. "No matter what comes next." High above, Queen Zephyra watched from her balcony, the weight of responsibility evident in her posture. She had seen the courage of a human, the loyalty to a child, and the potential for alliance between species. Yet she also knew that the universe was vast and dangerous, and the arrival of a human protector might change her world in ways she could not yet predict. Elias had entered this alien world as an outsider. Now he was becoming something more, a symbol of hope, a bridge between species and a vital protector of its future. The threat of war had revealed his value, but it also marked the beginning of even greater challenges. Challenges that would test his courage, his humanity, and the bond he shared with Lyra. As the twin moons of the planet cast their gentle light across the Crystal Valley, Elias felt a deep sense of purpose. He had survived storms, pirates, and alien skepticism. But now, he understood the true meaning of heroism. Not just fighting battles, but protecting those who could not protect themselves, inspiring loyalty, and standing as a beacon of humanity in a galaxy full of unknown dangers. The threat of war had passed, but Elias knew the story was far from over. With Lyra by his side, he was ready to face whatever the universe would throw at them next. And in that moment, he made a silent promise. Whatever challenges awaited, he would not let Lyra or her people face them alone. The days following the battle were filled with repairs, training, and cautious optimism. Captain Elias Ward walked through the Crystal City, observing the citizens as they worked tirelessly to restore the damaged structures. The storm of war had passed, but its impact lingered. Broken buildings, scorched forests, and exhausted soldiers were reminders that even victory came with cost. Lyra walked beside him, her small glowing hands tracing patterns in the air as she practiced controlling the energy currents she had learned to manipulate during the battle. Elias smiled, pride swelling in his chest. Her skills were growing quickly, and her confidence shone brighter than her bioluminescent skin. Careful, he warned gently as she tried a new, more powerful energy pulse. Remember what I taught you. Precision matters more than power. Lyra nodded, her golden eyes reflecting determination. I understand, Elias, she said softly. Elias had come to realize that protecting Lyra was not just about shielding her from danger. It was about guiding her, helping her understand her abilities and preparing her for the responsibilities she would face as the Queen's child. In a strange way, teaching her reminded him of Earth's lessons: courage, patience, and the importance of caring for others. But peace rarely lasted long. One morning, as Elias trained a group of alien soldiers in advanced defensive strategies, a scout rushed into the training ground. Captain Ward, the scout said urgently, its musical language translated quickly through a communicator device. We have detected a new threat approaching. Another faction from the neighboring system is moving fast. They seek Lyra directly. They know of her power and intend to capture her. Elias's jaw tightened. How many? He asked. Too many to face without preparation. Their ships are fast and heavily armed, the scout replied. Elias nodded. We don't have time to waste. Begin evacuation drills for civilians. Shields must be reinforced immediately. Lyra, come with me. Lyra's glowing hands wrapped around his arm, her trust unwavering. I will stay close, she whispered. Queen Zephyra convened an emergency council. The mood was tense, more so than during the previous attack. We must protect Lyra at all costs, she said. She is not only the future of our people, but a symbol of hope. Captain Ward, your role is more crucial than ever. Elias listened carefully as the council members debated strategies. Some favored aggressive strikes against the approaching fleet, while others argued for evacuation and defense. Elias stepped forward. A direct assault could be dangerous, but we can use a combination of defensive barriers, strategic positioning, and controlled energy currents to slow their advance. We must protect Lyra first and the city second. The Queen's golden eyes met his. Do you truly understand the responsibility you carry? I do, Elias said firmly. Her safety is my priority. I will not let her fall into enemy hands. Lyra's small hand squeezed his. I trust you, she said softly. Her words were simple, yet they carried immense weight. The preparations began immediately. Citizens worked tirelessly, reinforcing shields, setting energy traps, and creating safe zones. Elias trained the soldiers in coordinated tactics, combining human ingenuity with alien energy manipulation. Lyra practiced under his supervision, learning to control her power in high-stress situations. Days passed in tense anticipation. Finally, the enemy fleet appeared on the horizon, black ships glinting ominously under the twin suns. The alien defenders stood ready, their weapons humming, energy shields glowing. Elias took a deep breath, his hand resting on Lyra's small shoulder. "Stay close," he said. "We face this together." The battle erupted suddenly. Enemy ships fired energy blasts that struck the city's outer defenses, shaking crystal towers and sending shockwaves through the streets. Elias moved quickly, coordinating counterattacks, directing energy flows, and guiding soldiers to key positions. His human perspective allowed him to see weaknesses in the enemy's approach that the alien commanders had missed. Lyra's power became a beacon of defense. She hovered near the front lines, her glowing hands creating protective shields and redirecting energy attacks. Soldiers moved with her, their confidence strengthened by her presence. Elias watched in awe as she stabilized a failing energy barrier just in time to block a massive enemy strike. But the enemy was relentless. A squadron broke through the outer defenses, heading straight for the city's heart. Elias reacted instantly. "Lyra, stay behind me," he shouted, stepping forward to intercept the attackers. The battle turned personal. Elias fought hand-to-hand with enemy operatives who had boarded the city, using a combination of human tactics and alien technology. Each move he made was calculated, protecting Lyra while striking down threats with precision. Lyra's glowing hands amplified his efforts, helping to neutralize energy attacks and stabilize collapsing structures. Queen Zephyra watched from her balcony, her expression a mixture of worry and admiration. Elias's courage and ingenuity were unmatched. Not only was he protecting Lyra, but he was inspiring her people to fight with renewed determination. His presence was more than just a shield. It was a symbol of hope. Hours passed like minutes. The defenders, guided by Elias's strategy, gradually pushed back the invaders. Lyra's abilities, combined with the disciplined efforts of the soldiers, created a synergy that overwhelmed the enemy. Finally, the invading fleet retreated, leaving the city battered but intact. Exhausted but alive, Elias walked through the streets, checking on the wounded and helping wherever he could. Citizens and soldiers alike approached him with gratitude. Even the skeptical council members nodded in acknowledgement, recognizing the bravery and wisdom that had saved them. Lyra ran to him, her glowing hands wrapping around his arm. "We did it," she whispered. "Yes," Elias replied, kneeling to meet her gaze. "And we'll do it again if we have to. Together." Later, in the quiet of the evening, Elias and Lyra stood on a terrace overlooking the city. The twin moons cast their gentle light across the crystal structures, highlighting the scars left by the battle. Lyra's glow was soft now, her energy spent, but steady. "You were amazing today," Elias said, pride evident in his voice. Lyra smiled faintly. "I was scared," she admitted. "Being brave doesn't mean not being scared," Elias replied. "It means facing your fear and moving forward. You were brave, Lyra." Queen Zephyra approached, her expression unreadable at first. Then, slowly, she spoke. "Captain Ward, your actions today have proven your loyalty and courage. You protected Lyra when the odds were against you. You have earned my respect and my consideration." Elias bowed slightly. "Thank you, Your Majesty. My only goal is to protect her." The Queen's eyes softened. "I see that. And yet, I find myself hesitant to let you leave. Your presence is invaluable, not only to Lyra but to my people. You have shown us that humans can embody courage, wisdom, and compassion in ways few outsiders can." Elias felt the weight of her words. He had expected gratitude, perhaps recognition, but not this. Staying on this planet was no longer just A choice. It was a decision that could change the future of an entire civilization. Lyra tugged at his sleeve. "Will you stay?" she asked, her glowing eyes wide with hope. Elias looked at her, then at the Queen. I don't know," he admitted. "I have responsibilities to my own people, my own world, but I also see the importance of what we have built here, together. I will consider it carefully." The Queen nodded, understanding the complexity of his choice. "Take your time, Captain, but know this, your loyalty has not gone unnoticed. Whatever you decide, you have already changed our world for the better." That night, Elias reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From the crash landing in the storm to protecting Lyra, to leading her people in battle, he had discovered something profound. Humanity's strength was not in technology or weapons alone, but in courage, compassion, and the willingness to protect those who could not protect themselves. Lyra slept nearby, her small body glowing softly. Elias watched her, feeling a bond that went beyond duty. She had become more than a child in his care. She was a symbol of hope, a connection between worlds, and a reminder of the responsibility that came with power and trust. As he looked out, over the Crystal City, Elias knew that challenges were still ahead. Political intrigue, potential new threats, and the uncertainty of the universe would test him again. But he also knew one thing with certainty. He would face whatever came next, with courage, determination, and loyalty. Not just for Lyra, but for the future of this planet and the bond between their worlds. The heart of loyalty, Elias realized, was not just about fighting battles. It was about standing by those who relied on you, guiding them, protecting them, and inspiring them to be their best selves. In the glow of the Crystal City, with Lyra by his side and Queen Zephyra watching, he felt the weight and the honor of that truth. And as the twin moons shone over the recovering city, a silent promise formed in Elias Ward's heart. No matter what challenges the universe sent, he would never abandon those who had come to rely on him. The journey of courage, loyalty, and hope was far from over, but for the first time, Elias understood the true meaning of being a protector. The Crystal City had begun to heal. Shattered towers were rebuilt, energy conduits repaired, and forests gradually returned to their vibrant glow. The twin moons hung low in the sky, casting silvery light over the landscape. But even in this, quiet Captain Elias Ward felt the weight of the future pressing upon him. Queen Zephyra summoned him to the palace. He entered the chamber, its high crystal walls shimmering with the light of countless energy sources. The Queen stood at the center, her golden eyes meeting his. Lyra was beside her, small and glowing, her trust in Elias evident in the gentle way she held his hand. "Captain Ward," the Queen began, her voice calm but serious, "the Council has deliberated and the matter is clear. Lyra's protection is vital, not just for her, but for the future of our people. You have proven your courage, your wisdom, and your loyalty. The choice before you is difficult." Elias nodded. He had anticipated this conversation. He had thought about it constantly in the nights after the battle, while walking among the crystal forests, and while teaching Lyra to control her energy. Staying meant abandoning his mission to return to humanity. Leaving meant placing Lyra and her people at risk. "I understand, Your Majesty," he said quietly. "I never expected to be faced with such a decision. But I also know that Lyra's safety and the survival of your people may depend on me." Queen Zephyra's gaze softened. "It does. You are no ordinary human. You have shown us that your kind can be courageous, compassionate, and wise. But I do not wish to force you to remain. Your loyalty must be freely given." Lyra tugged at his sleeve. "Please," she whispered. "Stay with me, I need you." Her glow pulsed slightly brighter, almost as if her energy matched her emotion. Elias crouched to meet her gaze. I will stay," he said softly, feeling the weight of his choice. "Not because I am ordered to, but because I believe it is the right thing to do. I will protect you, Lyra, and your people. I will help them thrive. Together, we can face anything." Lyra's small face lit up with joy, and she threw her arms around him. Elias hugged her gently, feeling a deep sense of purpose and belonging. He realized that heroism was not just about bravery in battle, it was about the responsibility to protect, guide, and inspire those who cannot do it alone. The Queen stepped forward. "Then it is settled. You will remain as Lyra's protector and advisor. But understand this. Your decisions will affect not only her life, but the fate of our people. You must act wisely, always considering the consequences." "I understand, Your Majesty," Elias replied. "I will honor that trust." In the days that followed, Elias assumed his new role with dedication. He worked closely with the Council, guiding defense strategies, improving technology, and teaching Lyra not only to control her abilities, but also to think critically and make wise decisions. His presence brought stability, not just in battle but in daily life. Citizens looked to him with respect. Soldiers followed his strategies without hesitation, and even skeptical council members began to see the value of human ingenuity combined with alien wisdom. Lyra thrived under his guidance. Her abilities grew stronger and more precise. She learned to manipulate energy with incredible skill, using it to repair infrastructure, protect citizens, and assist in strategic exercises. But beyond her power, she learned courage, responsibility, and compassion, the lessons Elias valued most. One afternoon, while walking through the crystal forests, Elias reflected on the journey that had brought him here. From a crash landing in a storm to saving a child, leading a civilization in battle, and earning the Queen's trust, he had discovered something profound about humanity. Strength was not only in technology or weapons, but in courage, empathy, and the willingness to protect others, even those completely different from oneself. Lyra ran ahead, her glowing hands leaving trails of light in the air. She paused and looked back at him, eyes wide with admiration. "Elias, do you think humans can really change the universe?" Elias smiled. "We can try, Lyra. And when we work together across worlds and species, we can achieve things no one could alone. That is what I have learned here, with you." As the weeks turned to months, the bond between human and alien grew stronger. The people of the Crystal City began to see Elias as more than a protector. They saw him as a symbol of hope, a bridge between two worlds. Children would follow, him on his walks through the forests, imitating his careful steps while council members sought his advice on governance and strategy. But even in peace, challenges emerged. Traders from distant systems arrived, curious about the planet's resources and Lyra's unique abilities. Diplomacy became another battlefield where Elias applied human ingenuity. Negotiating carefully, he ensured fair exchanges that strengthened alliances while protecting Lyra's people from exploitation. Queen Zephyra watched closely, her respect for him deepening. She had seen countless leaders, warriors, and strategists in her time. Yet Elias stood out. His loyalty was unwavering, his decisions guided not by ambition, but by a sense of duty and compassion. In her heart, she realized she could not imagine Lyra's life without him. One evening, as the twin moons rose high above the Crystal City, Elias stood on a terrace with Lyra and the Queen. The city shimmered below, peaceful and alive. Lyra rested, her small head against his shoulder, and the Queen spoke softly. "Captain Ward," she said, "you have changed our world. Not only have you protected Lyra, but you have inspired my people to see that courage and compassion can cross the boundaries of species. We owe you more than words can express." Elias shook his head. "I only did what anyone would do to protect a child in danger. But I am grateful for your trust. I have learned much from your people, and I will continue to serve with honor." The Queen's golden eyes softened. "Then stay, not out of obligation, but because you choose to. Humanity has its place here now, not just on distant stars, but in the heart of our civilization." Lyra's glowing hands wrapped around his arm. "You will stay with us forever, won't you?" she asked softly. Elias smiled, looking down at her. Yes, Lyra, I will stay. And together, we will make this world stronger, safer, and full of hope. In the months that followed, the planet flourished. Elias's guidance helped improve defenses, enhance technology, and strengthen alliances with neighboring civilizations. Lyra grew into a capable and wise young leader, her abilities honed and her judgment sharpened. The bond between human and alien became a legend among the people, a story of trust, courage, and unity. Yet it was not only the people who had been changed. Elias himself had grown in ways he could never have imagined. He had seen the power of empathy, the strength of loyalty, and the importance of standing up for others, even in the face of unimaginable challenges. Humanity, he realized, could shine brightly, not only in technology or strength, but in the courage to protect, inspire, and lead. One night, as the city glowed softly under the twin moons, Elias stood with Lyra and Queen Zephyra on a high terrace. The wind carried the scent of alien flora, and the hum of energy lines filled the air. Elias looked out over the valley, a sense of peace settling in his chest. "Do you think humans can always do good?" Lyra asked, her small voice carrying curiosity and hope. Elias smiled. "We can try, and sometimes that is enough. The choice to protect, to care, to be brave, those choices matter more than anything else. That is what we do best." Queen Zephyra's gaze met his. "You have taught us much, Captain Ward, more than skill or strategy. You have shown us the value of loyalty, courage, and compassion. For that, we are forever grateful." Elias nodded. "I only hope I can continue to live up to that trust." The Queen reached out, placing a hand lightly on his shoulder. "You already have. And now, you are part of our world, part of our history, and part of our future." As the first light of dawn touched the crystal peaks, Elias realized that he had found a home far from Earth, a place where his courage, compassion, and humanity could make a difference. Lyra glowed beside him, a reminder of why he had chosen to stay. The bond between them was unbreakable, a symbol of hope across species and worlds. The story of Elias Ward, the human who had protected an alien child, had reached its turning point. He had chosen to stay, to protect, and to guide. But more than that, he had inspired trust, loyalty, and courage in a civilization that had once viewed humans with caution. And as the twin moons rose again, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. Adventures, challenges, and discoveries awaited. But for now, he stood with Lyra and Queen Zephyra, proud, determined, and ready to face the future. Together, they would protect their world, nurture hope, and prove that courage and compassion could bridge even the greatest divides in the universe. Captain Elias Ward had come as a stranger. He remained as a protector, a teacher, and a hero, a human who had changed an alien world, not through conquest, but through loyalty, courage, and the heart of humanity. The universe was vast and uncertain, but here in the glowing Crystal Valley, one human had proven that compassion and bravery could make all the difference. And that was a story that would be remembered for generations,